President Trump held an Oval Office event for Elon Musk at the White House today. The president tapped the world's richest man to head up his newly created Department of Government Efficiency to slash federal spending. Musk was contracted to work with the administration for 130 days, is set to leave the White House today. His departure follows an exclusive interview with CBS News where Musk said he doesn't agree with all of the president's decisions. Despite that, President Trump praised Musk's efforts during his tenure.
Today, it's about a man named Elon, and he's one of the greatest business leaders and innovators the world has ever produced. He stepped forward to put his very great talents into the service of our nation, and we appreciate it. And I just want to say that Elon has worked tirelessly helping lead the most sweeping and consequential government reform program in generations. And you know the kinds of things that he's found and his people have found. He's brought a group of very smart people in, and they found things that are pretty unbelievable.
CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang joins us now for more on this. Weijia, you were inside the room there. What is your read on how involved Elon Musk is going to be in the administration moving forward?
I was not inside the room, Lindsay.
Okay.
Just the press pool was inside the room and some other invited media guests. But today, the pooler for our broadcast networks was Fox News, which is why its correspondent Peter Ducey was inside the room. But I certainly did watch the entire episode. And, they tried to take a victory lap and try to explain away why the projected amount of savings so far for DOGE, or rather for fiscal 2026, is only $175 billion. Musk said that number was growing, but it's certainly a far cry from the $2 trillion he initially predicted, and then revising that later to $1 trillion. But the president and Musk said that they would continue to find savings and that number would continue to grow every day, which is why they can't just, end it on their current figure, which is just a tiny fraction, of course, of what Musk had initially been promising. And so as we've been reporting, these two just confirmed, physically together in the room that they will maintain their relationship, that Musk will continue to be a presence, although we don't know to what extent, to President Trump, and that he will continue to advise on matters of DOGE. Of course, the White House insists the department is not going anywhere, even though Musk and several other top DOGE officials are leaving.
I want to ask you about something that Musk was asked about but did not want to entertain any questions on today, and that is New York Times reporting that he used copious amounts of drugs, including ketamine and ecstasy, during his time working with the administration. What more can you tell us about that exchange in the Oval Office?
To clarify, this is solely based on a New York Times report, and the New York Times explicitly said they are not sure whether the drug use continued once Musk became part of the administration and once he started taking over DOGE. They are reporting that during the campaign, Musk used illegal drugs, including ketamine and psychedelic mushrooms and Adderall, and that it went, quote, well beyond occasional use. The New York Times reporting he told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder. But again, the Times goes on to say it is unclear whether Mr. Musk was taking drugs when he became a fixture at the White House this year. And so a reporter tried to ask Musk about this and barely got in more than a few words, just mentioning a new New York Times report when Musk started railing against the newspaper, saying it is essentially not credible, and saying very quickly, let's move on. And then they did. They moved on, and nobody else during this entire, 40-some minute opportunity in the Oval Office followed up. So we don't have a direct response from Musk or, frankly, from President Trump, who hired him to work here at the White House.
Thank you for clarifying that. And Weijia, what sort of media representation was allowed in for this event?
So the official pool list, because remember, the Oval Office is small. You can't shove in the hundreds of White House reporters and correspondents who all cover President Trump. So every day there is a group of reporters who are essentially chosen by the White House to go inside the Oval Office. And those are the people that get to ask questions of the president. And today that included Fox News, Newsmax, The Hill, ABC Radio, The Wall Street Journal, a new media outlet called Merit Street Media, and I also saw the Daily Caller inside. And so, you know, a lot of the media outlets would be considered MAGA-friendly, would be considered conservative and Trump-friendly. And so the outlets that typically used to be part of the pool, just by standard protocol, independently assigned by the White House Correspondents Association, included all the wires, for example, Reuters and the AP and Bloomberg. And so there's been a massive shift on who is allowed to go inside every day and ask questions. And again, it is now the White House that is dictating what journalists are in the room getting to ask the president questions.
All right, Weijia Jiang, thank you.